Every day I feel more and more confident with my style. I feel like I'm getting better at learning what looks good and what doesn't. However, it wasn't always like this because you learn these things with time and experience, but there are certain things that I feel like I should have learned a lot sooner. And as cliche as it sounds, I really wish I can go back and tell myself certain things so that way I wouldn't have wasted money, so that way I wouldn't have worn things that just clearly don't look good and instead would have swapped it for things that did look good. But of course at the time, I didn't know that. So today, that's exactly what I'm going to be going over. 5 style tips I wish I learned sooner, so that way you don't make the same mistakes that I did. The first thing we got to be talking about is going to be investing in quality pieces. Now, I used to look at prices and just have been insanely intimidated because they were just way too high. But once I got over that fear and tried it out for myself, I realized there was a reason why it costed so much money. And maybe when it comes to certain brands, you're paying for the quality. I started falling in love with these higher end pieces because of the way they fit, because of the way they felt, and most importantly, because how long they would last. And all it took was taking that extra money and investing it into some higher quality pieces. But getting a little bit deeper into that, I did learn that a lot of these brands have a reputation for higher quality pieces, and that reputation is what I look for today. Because let's be real, there's some brands that are just outrageously overpriced, and there's no way that I'm paying those kinds of pieces, especially for what you're getting. Because at the end of the day, sometimes you are really just paying for the name and you're essentially just paying for the hype. But on the other hand, there's so many brands out there that the reason why they cost so much is because of the quality, because they use higher quality fabrics, maybe they're a little bit more environmentally friendly, or sometimes because it's a little bit more unique and it's for the designer. All of these things are reasons why some brands are a little bit more pricey than others. And that's exactly what separates higher end pieces rather than pieces that you can find at H&M or other fast fashion stores. So instead of spending $15, $20 on a shirt that doesn't really fit that well, that the material is kind of off, it's not going to last me very long, I would much rather spend $40 to $60 on a shirt that's going to last me way longer, fits well, and the material just feels so much nicer on my skin. At least take that step if you have the extra money and at least start trying it out for yourself. The next style tip that I wish I learned sooner is exploring new brands and styles. Wearing the same thing every day gets boring. This is obvious. But one thing that I wish I learned sooner is even wearing similar pieces every single day is just as boring. So sticking to one style, sticking to one aesthetic, it just gets boring over time, and eventually you're gonna get bored of your own style, and that shouldn't be at all what happens. In men's fashion, it's all about exploring new things, and you should always feel confident in what you're wearing, and you can't exactly do that if you think all your outfits are boring. So it's important to have a range of different styles, different aesthetics, different clothes. All that comes down to is different fits and just a completely different style of pieces. And you never know what you're gonna like unless you try it out for yourself and see exactly what you like, and that's why experimenting is so important. And for me personally, I like being able to dress well in any occasion, whether it's going out, having a nice dinner, or hanging out with some friends. Two completely different occasions that require two completely different styles of outfits. And let's say I wasn't able to do that. Let's say I'm going out to a nice dinner, but all I know is streetwear, and all I know how to do is impress other people with clothes that have more hype on it. That's really not going to work if you're out in a nice dinner. They're not going to take me as serious as if they would if I was wearing something like some boots, a nice watch, and a nice Oxford shirt. This is just an example, but there are plenty of different styles to play around with. And again, you never know what you're going to like unless you try it out for yourself. And a lot of that comes down to exploring different brands, because each brand has their own aesthetic, and if you only have the brands that you like and you never shop anywhere else, you're never going to find different aesthetics. So if you're only shopping at places like Paxson or brands that sell kind of streetwear clothes, give places like Zara a chance, give something like Abercrombie & Fitch. Again, just explore different brands and see what you like. The third style tip that I wish I learned sooner is finding the right balance between not trying too hard and giving thought into your outfit. Because trust me, it can really go either way. But if you find that perfect in between, not only will your outfits look better, but it's going to draw a lot more better attention to yourself. Now, if I confused you, let me explain what I'm talking about. I cannot be the only one who has just thrown something on, and when I look in the mirror, I think that this is one of my best outfits. And honestly, I didn't even try. I personally like the aesthetic of being laid back and kind of coming across as if things just come naturally to me. So my outfits typically tend to show that off. And the way that I do this is I kind of have a good sense of my own style as it is. So I already know what looks good on me. I know what colors look good on me, the silhouette of my outfit. But instead of being one of those guys that thinks that each color has to be specific and everything has to pair together perfectly, and you're doing all these math equations and figuring out scientific problems just to get a good outfit, chances are you're trying too hard. And a lot of times what ends up happening is if you center your outfit across one thing that you're trying to show off, throughout the entire day, you're going to do the most to try to show off that piece. But if things just come naturally, you're not trying too hard, and you already know what looks good, and you're able to throw on clothes and it just falls together perfectly. That, in my opinion, is the perfect in between of being able to dress well without trying too hard. And trust me, it's a good aesthetic to have where people think that things just happen naturally to you, because that's exactly how it should be. I'm a really big believer that you shouldn't go out your way to try to show off to other people, because it is kind of annoying hanging out with with somebody that only likes to talk about their own achievements and about the things that they have, rather than just things coming naturally to them. And the things that you're wearing, even though they look great, you're not even paying that much attention to your own outfit. That's just my opinion. That's the aesthetic that I go for. But let me know, is that something that you think about? Do you think that you're trying too hard on your outfits? Let me know what you think about that. That's just something that's been in my head for some time now. All right, the next style tip is you don't need every trend. I know you want to fit in, but that doesn't mean that you should wear things that you don't like. Now, when it comes to trends, I really like trends to explore new things and see what other people are wearing, so that way I can experiment with my own style. And I am all about getting out your comfort zone. I always think that you should experiment with things. A lot of what I said in this video shows exactly that. If you see a piece that catches your attention that you think you might look good in, go ahead and try it out. But if you don't like it, you shouldn't force yourself to wear it just because that's what other people are wearing and just because it's a trend. If you don't like it, kick it off to the side, try to get your money back, because there are plenty of trends to experiment with, especially nowadays where everything is a trend, everything's a micro trend at least. That used to be an issue that I had a lot when I was younger. Honestly, when I was younger, I had a huge identity crisis and I really just didn't know what to wear. And because I was insecure, everything just tied into, I would see what one person would wear and I wanted to dress exactly like them. I was thinking that if I wore that brand, if I wore something similar, they would complement my outfit and therefore I would get validation. But do you want to know the main problem with that? The main issue is that I was dressing for other people instead of dressing for myself. And honestly, this is the main difference that sets me apart from how I was when I was younger. I used to dress for other people, but now I dress for myself and I like what I wear. And that all came down to only wearing the things that I like because that's what I feel confident in. If you're in the same boat and you have problems seeking validation from others, or maybe you have your own other issues, let me know, because chances are I probably dealt with something similar, if not the same thing, especially because I try to be here for you. I want you to feel confident, and if something's holding you back, let me know and I'll try to put my 2 cents in to give you some advice. The next style tip is going to be sleeping on it. 8 times out of 10, you don't need the piece that you want. And the reason for that is because you don't even want that piece to begin with. You only saw it once and you think that you want it. Think about it. Is it an impulse purchase, or is this something that you could actually wear? Now look, there are certain questions to ask yourself. Do you see yourself wearing this piece? Do you see yourself wearing this piece with things that you already have in your wardrobe? Chances are that's not the case. If you can't make up a bunch of different outfits with it, with the pieces that you already own, you don't need it, and you're probably not even gonna wear it to begin with. And before you say yes and continue to go buy it, like I said, give it some time, sleep on it, come back in a few days, and if you decide that you still want it, by all means, go ahead and purchase it. Because that's one of my main issues as well. Impulse purchasing. I'm getting a lot better at it. Following my own advice, I need to practice what I preach and sleep on it. Because a lot of these things, although these are style tips that I wish I learned sooner, implying that I already know this right now, it still takes time for me to implement it into my own life. And sometimes I may forget about it. And this is a good reminder to myself to do these style tips. Otherwise, I'm just going to end up regretting it later down the road. But if you need more help with your style, specifically coming down to the best shirts for the summer, I have a video showing you the only 5 shirts you're going to need for this summer 2023. But other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.